the streaming service belt, which is the best streaming service. There's so many options now, Rem, and of course, getting a couple services from friends and family. I've been able to look at a couple different services, and there is one for me that clearly holds the crown. But I kind of wanted to hear what you had for this category, and I think Mark and I had the same one, and some of the similar reasons. But Rem, what did you have for your number one streaming service of 2023?
Well, we've been giving out a lot of awards, but I think, is this appropriate that for the streaming service, it's a belt instead of like an actual award like best streaming service of the year? It's like a current thing, right? Because it's going to continue into 2024. And who knows, especially, in the future, right? The media rights deal for the NBA is going to be up if one of these streaming services swoop in. Just the whole added dynamic of live sports with the streaming service, it could just kick everything up a notch. So I feel like this could be fluid as these things continue to add properties and evolve. So I feel like it's appropriate that it's a belt, right? Compared to a typical award. So I think for my first place belt one right now, I mean, Tubi's just got a lot of stuff for free. No, for the number one streaming service.
Christmas movies, though.
Are the Hallmarks on Tubi?
No, it was just, let's just say, this season I may have watched more Christmas movies than normal. It's totally no reason. You couldn't think of why.
No specific reason.
Let's just say Tubi was visited quite a bit. There's some crazy movies. It's just like, Hallmark is like $3-4 million movies, and like then there's the low budget, which is like a 1 million. These were like 5K. Like people were using car payments on these movies, man. It was some of these were bad, man. But so bad.
Is it like only available in the Bay?
No. I think they're available everywhere, but it's just clear that there was like it was just definitely like people who were like super invested, but just didn't know what they're doing.
In a couple of these, we need to add some properties to Sam Plus. We need to add some properties to Sam Plus. Bulk it up a little bit. If Tubi if we can get one of these directors with 5K budget, shoot a couple of movies. Can we get I feel like we can get a movie. Can we get the Titanic sub movie for 5K off of Tubi? But for my streaming service belt, is that a good property?
Has someone done a movie yet on it? I don't think anyone has.
We want to do the we call dibs on the documentary of the founder. What's his name? Here, let me look up his name quick.
You just need to interview him. Honestly, for something like that,
I don't think we can do that.
As long as you spend like $3K of it breaking into his house and interviewing him or something, and you're golden. Like it's just the interviews of this early stage, and maybe a couple shots.
But he was in the sub.
All right, people around it, not like people in the sub.
Family.
No.
Stockton Rush. How could I forget Stockton Rush?
Oh my gosh.
We call dibs on the Stockton Rush doc. I mean, I'm sure Netflix has done it. We just missed it, but
yeah.
It just in case they haven't, we call dibs on the Stockton Rush documentary. I Netflix though. I don't know if I'm spoiling my my top choice. I don't think I am. My number one streaming service, the streaming service currently holding the belt for me, I've got to give it to Max. Formerly HBO Max, since rebranded to just Max. And we talked, I mentioned a little bit the live sports thing will definitely it'll definitely ramp up with these other streaming services as those properties become available. But Max you can actually get NBA games on Max right now. And especially if you have that add-on, if you can get live sports and then just go right into the movies and into the TV shows, in Max in general, just if you're just going movies and TV shows, is maybe number one just based on that alone. But some of the live TV elements that they're starting to fold into the app right now, I think they're doing it best. I think the interface too is clean. It's easy to navigate. And it's not just the sports, it's the CNN thing as well too. You can do just go in, watch the live news. And I don't know if that's I haven't looked in to see if that's been like a big success for them. But I like the idea of what they're doing because I mean, if people are going to watch it, that's where they're going to see it. I don't think, the next generation of us are going to be watching CNN on cable. I have Sling TV as well too, so I actually don't even know if it's on there, but I wouldn't be watching it on Sling. Like if I ever were to put it on, it would be through Max. So the fact that that has that live element. So I don't want to know if I want to reveal my whole rankings right now, but like I have Prime sitting at number 3 right now because of Thursday Night Football. And having live sports as well too, it's just additive for your app. Like they can advertise their movies and then it's Thursday Night Football is on. Let me go over and check this movie out. Let me go over and check this show. They did, the music stuff they were doing with Metro Boomin. So I think that live element, even though it's early and it's still new for some of these properties, I think having that has been a big boost for some of these services. I think it's been a big boost for Max, even though Max is already one of the best. I think that has, for me, solidified it as number one.
And first of all, full disclosure, HBO is the number one for me and for Mark. So it is a clean house on this topic. And it's just the amount of quality content on there. It's crazy how many good movies. That's where I saw Parasite. But it also has The Wire. A lot of people have mentioned that, you should watch White Lotus. Like you mentioned with sports, they've been had sports with like Hard Knocks. Last week tonight with John Oliver is a great show. Barbie is
South
on
Park?
there. Like you mentioned, TNT, South Park, Jurassic World's on there. The new Avatar movie is on there, the second one. The whole Harry Potter series is on there. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Game of Thrones, Friends, Sopranos, like Doctor Who for 2005. Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. Both of them, the new one and the old one. Like, it's just crazy, and it's ad free. It is $15 a month. But when you have that many shows, I mean, even the Boondocks is on there. It's crazy how much older and quality stuff. I mean, there's even like kid shows on there that are great. It's just wild. When I need something quality, there's so many shows and so many stuff that I have on my own personal list to watch, and so many of them are already on HBO Max. It's crazy. I'm currently working through The Wire. I know that's huge, but I was watching a little bit of The White Lotus, but there's just so many shows on there, and now that combined with Turner's other properties such as TNT. I mean, the basketball through TNT is, in my opinion, I think, considering how many sports that means they've won, I think it is the best way to watch basketball when you have the crew, TNT crew, Shaq, Kenny, Charles, and Ernie. And it's just, they also got some hockey, they got some other sports in there. There's just something for everyone on that platform. And when you look at like Disney Plus, which is just, I mean, it feels like
they're down on my list.
It's a yikes, but feels like with their new content, they're pretty much using AI or something along those lines for their scripts. And you look at Netflix, they're kind of struggling as just a giant juggernaut. Maybe they have too many subscribers, figuring out, or not too many subscribers, but their expectations for their growth were a little too high, spend a little bit too much wrong money in the wrong places. So, it's still a good platform, and who knows what we have in the rankings. But HBO, there's rarely any misses. It's tough to find a bad product on HBO Max. I think, they're obviously there, but, Euphoria, I didn't watch it, but I know it's huge. That's also on there. So there's just so many properties, and there might be the big names, might be on Disney. Netflix is still, considered, when you thinking of a streaming service, Netflix is the first that comes to mind just because they're the poster child They were the first to really be on the scene. But in terms of who did it best, who's doing it best, it definitely has to be Max. And there's a reason why, it's called Max. It has the best. It's the Max. It's the best.
And the thing that's really hurt Disney Plus, and the thing that these streaming services are going to need to be on top is you're going to need live sports. And we've said that time and time again, but the live sports rights are going to be the most important thing in media. I know some of the numbers, whether or not the projections are accurate is one thing, but regardless, live sports are still on top of the media thing. So you need that, but you also need the background TV show, the throw it on. You're going to have it on at night. You're throwing it on in the background during the day when you're going to do something. Max just has more of those shows than anybody else. Like you said, they have Friends, they have Fresh Prince, they have South Park. Disney Plus doesn't have either of those things. But the weird thing about Disney is Disney itself has those things. I don't know if Disney necessarily has the background show, like the sitcom-y thing. I would have to go back and remember, like, if what the Disney properties, if maybe there's an obvious ABC one. I think Modern Family might be a Fox show, but Disney has that stuff. Like they've been working some of the live sports in with Hulu. They have ESPN Plus, but Disney Plus is just like you're saying, it's kind of been its own separate thing. I know they're doing the marketing toward families, whatever, but the fact that like with Max, you can get all of it in one spot is why it's the best. I mean, they have the live sports, they have the shows, and it's not just the content as well, too. Again, the actual app itself, I think, is the best to navigate, and all of just the separate categories of stuff, all the niche stuff they have on there as well, too. Like now they've rolled in like the Food Network's on there. They have all the genre stuff broken up. So I know, Disney Plus has that where you can go in and see the Marvel and the Star Wars, but Max, again, it's all of that Warner Brothers properties stuff in one spot. So I don't know if it's a hot take right now, but like right now in my streaming service rankings, like I would, if I was going priority for subscription, I would have Peacock over Disney Plus right now because of the live sports. And again, I don't know if it's the time of year, football's in season, but they've had Sunday night. If you want to stream the Sunday night game, it would be on Peacock. They have college football. They have soccer as well too.
Premier League.
Golf. So there's the tennis matches. I'm sure there's some races that are, there is sports that'll be on there year round. But again, they have the live sports, and they also have The Office, Parks and Rec. So that might not be for everybody, but if it's your thing, like you have to get Peacock, and Disney Plus just doesn't have any of those properties. So I don't know. Do you have a full power ranking? I have a full power ranking if you want to hear my rankings for the big ones.
Yeah, no, I know. I did not do a full power ranking, but I know Peacock has another show. What was that Western one that really blew up? Yellowstone. I know Yellowstone was
Paramount Plus.
Yeah. Oh, is that okay? Because I know it was on Peacock. I think but
I also have Paramount Plus above Disney Plus.
Wow. Okay. Hey, yeah, give your ranking because it sounds like you're really down on Disney Plus, just mostly because of the no live sports.
It's a big part of it, and the Marvel thing is cool, the Star Wars thing is cool. That alone can be a background thing in a way, but it is just, Marvel is contained, like it is just Marvel. So even if you're watching different Marvel movies, you're still in that universe, and you're gonna just in an entertainment setting, you're gonna want to spend time in other universes. But my ranking right now, so I have Max number one, like you and me both. Mark agrees as well. I still have Netflix number two. And I think like we've been saying, the big move for Netflix in the future is going to be getting live sports, because I think if they get it, they could easily be the number one. And I know they don't have the sitcom, but they definitely have the shows. They have, all the true crime documentary. They're
true
starting
crime. That's where that's revitalized them this past year, I think.
100%.
True crime for sure.
And like you were saying that with the Black Mirror episode as well, too, with them taking a look at that and examining that. I mean, like you're saying, they're a part of that. It's been the true crime on their platform. It's been explosive. But I think that if they got football or something like that, or even if they just got the Super Bowl, I think it'd be huge for them. I think it's still incredibly impressive that they're at two. I have Prime at number three. Paramount Plus
Okay.
at 4, and then Peacock, Disney, and then Disney Plus and Hulu. I think you could put in any order. I don't know.
Wow, Disney's just down in the dumps, huh? I mean, I guess could you talk a little bit about why Paramount Plus is so good? I guess because I mean
They have
having
football too.
them, yeah, I guess having them above of Disney is that might Paramount Plus
All the
above
sports.
Disney is kind of crazy.
They also have Fresh Prince, good movies, like you're saying, the Yellowstone franchise. I think the Mission Impossibles are all on there as well
They're
too.
on
So
Netflix too,
yeah, Netflix is going to get a rotation of all
yeah.
that stuff. But I don't know if I'm just trying to prove a point. But again, they just the self-containedness of Disney Plus, I think, is a little bit of a problem when it comes to general. And maybe with maybe in a bigger audience, families, small kids, it's a priority. You've got to have it. But this just
Mm-hmm.
this just for where we're at, what we're dealing with. If again for priority subscription services for me, this is where it would be at. This is where I would have it. Maybe again in the
Mm-hmm.
summer there's no sports. Who knows? A new Marvel movie drops that's fantastic. The new Deadpool's awesome. Whatever, we all get back on a Marvel kick, something happens. But I mean, yeah, as of right now, I think that's where I would have it.
Now, when I look at the rankings for the platforms, I think a big thing for me is the exclusives in terms of what is something on this platform that I cannot get anywhere else. And that's why I get
Mhm.
Max number one, because just the number of exclusives. I mean, there's so many shows on there. Game of
Sure.
Thrones, man. That's another one that came to mind. Like just shows on there that I've heard so much about and never been able to watch until recently. Shout out the person who gave me the login. But so that's definitely up there. And I think that's why I would have Disney Plus over Paramount Plus, just because of the exclusives that you can have on there.
Okay.
Like you mentioned, a lot of the stuff you have on there, on Paramount Plus, exclusives I heard aren't great at all. And, a lot of stuff can be put on other ones. I don't know. I think Apple Plus would be, I'd almost have them above Paramount
Okay.
Plus, and I think they're starting to dip their toe into live sports.
Baseball,
There's a little bit of
soccer.
the stuff with Messi, the contracts, stuff like that. But I think Disney. The thing with Disney is that their content it is pretty stale in terms that
Yeah, that's
most of their most popular content is definitely from the past. Like when you look at the stuff, the reasons you would go to Disney is rarely, if ever, because of stuff that is releasing, just because of how they have a really good history, but it is definitely like a older player in the league, kind of like we could probably put like James Harden at 2 years kind of deal on there where you sign him because he has this really great history of putting up stats, and every once in a while he can do it, but you're not really signing him for something in the future. You're not really anticipating stuff. He isn't really hot topic, but you put him up with everyone else. You got to put respect on his name. And the same with Disney Plus. I think there's enough shows on there, enough stuff on there. Like, every once in a while, you're going to want to go back and watch Iron Man. You're going to want to watch Spider Man. They're finally able to get all the Spider Mans on there. There is, all the Disney classics, Disney Princess, they're putting a little bit in that too. So if they find a way, because they might have to integrate ESPN into Disney Plus, I don't understand this thing with Disney where they have to hold so hard onto ESPN being on cable. And once they
Mhm.
get it through their heads that you have to get ESPN, like find your own native way to stream
Why are
ESPN,
they doing this?
like they have it in like some cable packages, some streaming, Sling and all that, but they hold on to it so hard. And you can get like some, bundle package with ESPN Plus, but as we all know, ESPN isn't included in ESPN Plus. So
Mhm.
once they finally let go of that and understand the need for it, I think Disney Plus would really blow up, even if it was like two separate apps. I think that's once Disney finally crosses that Rubicon, it's going to help their platform so much.
Yeah, and I think they're headed toward a merger with Disney Plus and Hulu. or some, I think there's some sort of crossover where those things are going to be going together. So even if you're just down to Disney Plus and ESPN Plus and bundle those together, because the thing, like, your ESPN Plus is actually super close to being an amazing streaming app, because the UFC thing is huge. All of the big UFC events or pay-per-view on ESPN Plus. The fact that like the Monday night games are not consistently on there. The fact that First Take is not every day streamed on ESPN Plus. You know what would help me watch First Take? If it was on ESPN Plus. I don't know. I think I would just be more inclined to go into the app. And then once you're there for First Take in the morning, guess what? Oh, hey, maybe that fight I want, Adesanya Pereira 2, maybe I'll throw that back on. You have all of the library of game replays. And then if you're able to fold in your ESPN original shows, and then they also have, the documentaries, the ESPN films, and all that stuff. Like, they're a couple steps away from that being an amazing service. And then you have these two services that you could potentially bundle together and be super successful. But, maybe we don't understand the business side of it, but it seems pretty obvious that that's where they would need to be setting up for in the future. So I don't know if the money is even that much better in cable right now to be sacrificing the now for the future in this way. But I mean, you're 100% right. Like, I don't understand why they haven't been doing this already. They've been doing it with McAfee, right? Can you get McAfee on ESPN Plus? Like, I don't know why you can get McAfee and not Stephen A. Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, no, they need to be on there. And IT just tapped me on the shoulder and said there is some actual news that came out recently about this. It looks like Bob Iger, Disney CEO Bob Iger, mentioned that ESPN will be available as an a la carte streaming product direct to the consumer in 2025. So it looks like it is something that is happening now. It will be a year plus. No joke intended. And then, and I think by that time, Disney Plus and Hulu will pretty much be one product. They pretty much are right now. I think you can see most of the shows on both products, and they're both under Disney. They just need to put all of this under one roof, and especially if they want to compete with the big boys, you just gotta put it all on one roof. I mean, that's what HBO did. They and I think, once they start figuring out that you need to start consolidating, and then this slowly becomes cable TV just on your phone. I think it's that next step. But HBO's definitely number one. But I think that's a really, I do like your rankings. I do understand them.
No, and I think going back to the rankings quickly, I do a Disney Plus over Paramount Plus is fair. There was a stretch a couple of months ago where I think they had Rush Hour on Paramount Plus, and that bumped it up in my rankings. But now Rush Hour's off, so Disney Plus can
I think it might be
go back
Netflix.
over. I just looked it up. It's not streaming anywhere right now.
I saw it somewhere.
It has been on Netflix, yeah. But according to IMDb, it's not anywhere. But no, this is the move. This is the move for Disney Plus. It's absolutely the right thing to do. And again, going back to the business, we don't fully understand the money side of things, but I think it would become easier to do the shows, right? Because now, like, the Max thing is interesting because it's, they're broadcasting the TNT games, but TNT is not a sports channel. So they don't have the pressure of necessarily like carrying a sports channel over there. And I don't have, I'll need to get the live sports package to see what, if there is 24/7 content on there. But now, you don't necessarily have the pressure to keep up content 24/7. And then when you're trying to do the budget costs, you're spending less in certain areas and people do notice. It's like, okay, First Take, it's still going to be live on ESPN Plus. You can watch it throughout the day. You can get it as a podcast throughout the thing. But if you don't want, you can still maybe even do the 24/7 and have live stuff. But I just think it would be easier to do that over the streaming platform. And also the fact that Stephen A's show is not on ESPN Plus as well, too. Like, should they just Rogan Stephen A? No, should it be?
No, should they would have to
drop it on the tube.
Disney's a family company. They stand by that pretty strongly.
ESPN Plus,
and some of the topics Stephen A be talking about. But
anyway, the question.
Anyway, let's get into our Week 18 picks